So that goes through the policy subcommittee and then ultimately to the committee. We try to meet during the day, and I think that's been somewhat of a problem. Trying to coordinate
Time of day.
and the day of the week.
Right.
So forth.
Mel, you're studiously
I also
looking
remember
down.
that we have negotiations.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
going to raise that, but, you know.
And next year, we will have, they'll have 2 members of the committee who will be serving teacher negotiations as well.
Well, that'll be this year, right?
Well,
I meant saying July.
starting.
Right, yeah.
I would suggest whoever those 2 members are shouldn't be on the policy committee as well.
See, but the dilemma is not that we're not willing to serve, it's that they meet during the day. So, you know, if you work, that's
I
difficult.
don't work.
Would you like to be on the policy subcommittee with Nicole? Okay.
I'll
then
do anything.
That's a, I'll nominate Cliff and Nicole.
Oh, now see, I knew when you said that they'd sucker
I've
you
been
into the
retired
policy
for 6
subcommittee.
years. I can
Oh, good.
do that.
Thank you, that's an important role.
It is very important. And if we do have the, so we have Maureen and Cliff Nicole.
Nicole.
I guess I'll second those nominations.
Okay, all in favor of Nicole Davis and Cliff Bowers on the policy subcommittee?
Aye.
All right. And the next one is the secondary schools building committee. Again, this committee right now is somewhat in an inactive status, but the committee is still a committee.
I think
I
the
would
chair.
have, well, all right, I was going to say I'd have some interest in
Would you?
actually doing
I
this.
thought
Don't
you
ask me
would-
when I-
All right.
I thought you would stick with the elementary.
Well,
I nominate Jerry.
Wait. Don't you want to stick with the, what about?
Well, I
do
would
both.
stick with the elementary, but I think it's winding down. I don't think there's going to be much left to do with the elementary, unless somebody else wants a secondary. I mean, they can
I
have it,
actually
but
was interested
Yeah.
in the secondary.
I'd be interested in stepping into that.
Well,
But if Nicole wants to do it, she can.
you've got prior building committee
I
experience.
certainly do.
And I
I
could
don't
step into the
anticipate,
elementary.
again, it's hard to predict what will happen next year, whether or not the Mass School Building Authority would reopen. I'm not confident that will happen next year.
I think we're going to have to, at least at some point, look at where we are, regardless of what happens with them.
Absolutely. And we also need to generate a list of capital projects that would be priorities for these schools, even outside of a major building project. So even though the committee is on inactive status right now, I do see a definite piece of work for them next year. So where are we?
I put a nomination for Jerry, unless you want to withdraw.
I'm interested, but if Nicole really wants
No.
that, I mean, I'd be more than happy to step aside.
No.
We have a second? No second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of Jerry Venezia serving on the secondary school building committee?
Aye.
Alright. The last one here is the elementary school building committee. Again, there'll still be work to do as the project goes through the audit and the final closeout of that project and link to the reimbursement. And you'll see that's an agenda item coming up tonight. But I would anticipate that by the fall, this project should be hopefully finished.
Jerry should finish it, so I'll nominate Jerry.
Well, that puts me on only one committee.
But important.
Well, yeah.
We did have the finance strategy as two. Is there a reason to reduce it to one, or?
It only was one, I think. It's always been one. Because I think I was the first liaison to that committee, and it was one. But I do think, I think it makes sense to have Jerry finish, but I do think we should have Nicole on more than on one committee, subcommittee.
Nicole, is there another, we could change the membership when anyone is there one that you were interested in?
Well, she was interested in secondary. If you want to take that up, we can do that. I'll finish up the elementary because I've been on that committee for 5 years now, so we're close to wrapping it up.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
we-
there's no reason that you couldn't also, come into the secondary schools
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we could nominate Nicole and then if we resurrect her, we can work together.
So do we need to withdraw Jerry's
Oh,
nomination?
but
Do we have-
technically, by your own policy, there's one member of the school committee on it.
Right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we complete the nomination for the elementary
Okay.
school, and then we can go back to the secondary school.
So Maureen has made a motion to have Jerry serve on the elementary school building committee. Is there a second on that? Yes. Okay, all in favor of Jerry Venezia on the elementary school building committee?
Aye.
All right, and so do we want to go back and take another vote on secondary?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the best thing we can do to withdraw, and if Nicole's interested, to seek a nomination on her behalf. And it makes sense too, because if I'm gonna be doing the negotiations with Mel and the teacher
Yeah, that's,
contract,
if that ends up, yeah, that's gonna be
That's gonna take a lot of time.
a lot of time,
okay.
which neither of us have, but.
So you're withdrawing
So
from,
motion to.
I'll withdraw.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to nominate Nicole Davis for the secondary school building committee.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I think those are the major assignments.
That's,
The others, I don't think we do the secondary in as a vote. I mean, the negotiations as a
No.
vote. It's just- Okay.
now we switch chairs.
You've been reading the
Jerry, you wanna
policy
sit
manual?
over here while we're all getting up and walking around?
That was my
Just
original,
gave it to-
that was my original seat.
Well, do you
My
wanna
first
sit
3
or
years.
do you
No,
wanna
I'll
sit?
stay.
No.
Unless you want to move.
No?
That was my original seat.
Have a
I
lot
gotta
of
get
work.
up so I can
A
see
lot of
the
work to
whole
do in
camera.
the policy manual.
Oh.
David, did you hear from Maura, our student rep, or?
Yes, I did. Laura and Patrick are involved in a Maskers banquet tonight, and that sort of came about, and they didn't realize it, and so there's no student rep.
Okay. All right.
Well, we could report on how great the kids were Friday night. The acapella group.
Oh, that was
They were
outstanding.
fantastic.
That
They
was
were.
outstanding. Very good.
That's a club, right?
It is.
The acapella singing, yeah.
They actually held auditions for it earlier in the year. And,
So
yeah, it was
impressed.
good. Very good. Okay. So now that we're reorganized, I too would like to officially welcome Mr. Bowers to our august group here. Looking forward to your input, Cliff. Oh, May group, that's right, sorry. Let's hop right into our agenda. First order of business, we have public input. I see no one from
No
the
public.
public. However, we do have to have our annual school choice participation hearing, correct, Dr. Tobin?
Yes.
So this is, you want to explain what this is?
Yes, school choice is a law in Massachusetts that every school district in the Commonwealth must vote on an annual basis as to determine whether or not they wish to participate in school choice as a receiving district. By voting on this, you cannot restrict a student from North Reading going out of North Reading to participate in a public school that is an accepting school choice district. So by law, each school district must, if they choose not to participate, has to take that vote on an annual basis. And the reason for doing that cannot be sort of a whimsical decision. It has to be a very definite reason, And in general, that follows a public input session. So I have to, if the committee chooses this year, again, to not participate in school choice, I have to send to the Department of Education the minutes of the meeting indicating your vote. And I also need to send to the Department of Education an agenda that shows that there was a public input session on school choice.
But we don't take the vote tonight, correct?
No.
This is the hearing.
No vote tonight.
We've never approved the school choice program, correct? We've never participated?
No.
Can you just briefly explain for the public and for us again why we have not done that in the past?
The basic reason that the committee has based their vote on is that in the judgment of the North Reading School Committee, school choice does not give equal access to all students to public education in all communities. And so by default, it is at least in the North Reading School Committee's eyes, it's a flawed process.
Because there are students who, might want to transfer in but can't afford to because they can't afford the transportation costs to come here, or, their parents can't afford to take the time off to drive their kids to school here.
Right.
And so it restricts it to only those parents who can afford to drive their kids here.
I believe there's inaccuracies in the funding formula as well. They don't necessarily meet our per pupil spending, which would still surprise me being that we're at the bottom. And if I recall, there's also the issue of enrollment. If we accept students, we can't cap it. And we're trying to maintain reasonable classroom sizes within control of it.
I thought that was not a permissible
It's not.
reason.
Right.
No. So,
Anyone else have any other questions or comments? Anybody in the public? Seeing nobody out there. Anybody on the?
committee?
David, I do have a question. Do you know how many communities participate in the state? An estimate?
It's not a large number. In this area, I believe that Masconomet is a school choice district. And over the years, we've had some students from North Reading who have attended Masconomet. And when that happens, the tuition, the charge, is taken right off the top of our Chapter 78.
So what do we pay, whatever the average per pupil cost is in that district for the student?
Well, and that's what Maureen was getting at. The funding is a little fuzzy. It seems that we're losing a greater amount. We have to pay a greater amount than what it actually would cost to educate a student here. I believe that, this year I actually don't even know the number. It may be 1 or 2 students who are out of district.
We don't have to approve it, though, for students to be able to go to another district that does allow it, right?
No, we have no control of that.
So this would only be approval if we wanted to allow students from other districts to come to North Reading?
But the surrounding communities, Reading, Linfield, Andover, Wilmington, are non-school choice.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll close the hearing at this time, and we will take a vote on this issue at our next meeting. Okay. Next on the agenda is student report, and as we noted, Maura Guthrie and Patrick Wicker are both unable to make it tonight. So we'll move to school building projects, and David, I believe we have some fairly good news on the batch
Well,
situation.
I think it is good news because, as the committee knows, back in January, well, going back to the end of last year, 2007, 6, perhaps 7 communities out of all of the school districts were invited or were classified as project scope invitation, which means that under Mass School Building Authority, that those projects are the ones that